hideous. Not only that, you're pathetic.
Did you just call me pathetic?
So, Indigo Lou. We saw a part of this at the beginning of Reminisce. Endrance, in his despair over losing Mia again, allowed Saku to entomb him in a crystal prison. Though, how she got the crystal prison in the first place is never explained. Where she's busied herself up until now, though not having the resolve to defy her and free him. When we get there, Saku had just raised the crystal to gloat how she'll have Endrance here forever. Only for Haseo to arrive, and Saku to, well, throw a tantrum. Now, this is a conflicting one to deal with. On one hand, you'll look at this and see a spoiled brat, one that lives less in reality than the rest of the cast with how she acts, potentially always getting her way, and everyone is hers to play with and follow what she says. Aside from the fact I've met actual women who are my elders that have acted like this for far less legitimate reasons, the reason Saku does this is because her entire existence is defined by the words, "You should have died instead." Or more specifically, it defined Iori's. This is touched on more in Redemption, but the thing is, Saku doesn't exist. She is an expression of Iori's extreme shyness, emotional fragility, and multiple personality disorder, made manifest and given her own body through a combination of the game realm and becoming the epitaph PC of the machinator, Gore, created to be his assertive, outgoing shell to protect him and his vast well of insecurities. And, due to the nature of the game, given true life as a result. What precipitated all of this? Iori's mother is a terrible, terrible person. He did have a sister, once. Her name was Sakura. Well, it was going to be. She was stillborn. Dead upon birth. Incidentally, yes, this is why I broke for a moment during the Rebirth reviews. I honestly hadn't remembered that part and, well, it hit me at the wrong time. 'Cause Iori learned of Sakura's existence the same time his mom told him she would have preferred Sakura had lived over him. As a result of this duality, Saku is constantly striving to prove her identity, her existence in the world, as more than a shadow Iori has created of the sister he thinks his horrible, horrible mother wants. Likely someone similar to said woman in Persona, come to think of it. And because she's at least in part Gore, she's drawn to Endrance through the innate powers of the Temptress, explaining her obsession with him, and likewise why she hates Haseo. Or, more accurately, Skaith, the final end to what existence she can have. Though, because Bo views Haseo as a protective big brother figure, for how nice he was on their first meeting, that probably doesn't help things either, as that's supposed to be her job. But, as a result, neither is developing. Bo was hiding behind Saku from his problems, mainly standing up and defending himself from his mother, and finding people that will accept him and help build the confidence he lacks. While Saku tries in desperation to grapple with the reality of herself that makes it impossible to define her own identity as more than a shadow. And really, who would believe them? Who would believe the girl only has a body in a game, when in the real world she's nothing but a voice in the back of her brother's head? Who could possibly understand and empathize with the knowledge that someday, inevitably, if Iori is ever able to become his own person, he won't need her anymore, and she truly will cease to be in every imaginable way? She is terrified of that, and struggles to maintain connections of her own to anything with power and recognition, to matter in the eyes of someone that she perceives has value. And that's worth putting up with someone that can be a bit of a brat, isn't it? I mean, you don't have to like them, but you can at least understand. And as a final rebuttal to conclude this bit, Iori is 11. Try hearing that the woman responsible for your existence has hated you since your birth for something out of your control before you even hit puberty, and you be mentally stable and not trying to earn their love afterwards. Anyways, yes, this is more than a tantrum. It's Sakubo hitting their emotional zenith as Gorei fully awakens, the avatar body manifesting. Saku's just that panicked about the possibility of losing Endrance permanently. Gorei is probably the second weakest in redesign of the epitaphs, but it at least fits the Shadow Warlock / Spellcaster feel in appearing like a flowering staff. Come to think of it, this seems to be a recurring motif with the epitaphs in GU. I mean, yeah, Magus and Maha are no-brainers, but you get the little details that look like petals, stems, or buds, or roots, in the others as well. I guess it's all feeding into the game's arc words, which we will discuss in Redemption. Gorei's attacks include the Bloom of Destiny, essentially their variation on Scaith's Chakram, Painful Blow, a rhyming attack, Paradise Invite, where the two Gorei halves double team on dealing damage, one holding Scaith in place. And of course, they can put their proverbial heads together to cast Data Drain, Saku's persona berating Bo's side that they need to do this to win. Despite the legitimate fears of deletion due to Data Drain, Saku's just receded back into Bo's head, him taking control again, and asking that he finally do what he couldn't. Endrance is as you'd expect him to be, continuing to mourn the loss of Mia. Again. It's actually a really good scene, but I'm kind of skipping along it as well. I've addressed all of that already. I did the montage. I played Kiss from a Rose. Kind of feel I shortchanged myself with the clip limitations, but I did what I could without just playing the games again for the clips I needed. Yeah, I kind of forgot to save my core game gameplay footage for when I reached this part. Not good foresight on my part. But Haseo isn't taking no for an answer. Not after Alkaid.
Mia, no matter what happened in our lives, she was always my friend. She went away once, but she came back. But now, she's gone, and there's no one left who needs me.
What a load of crap! Don't make me laugh! Don't tell me she was all you had. She's not. You've just been denying everything that wasn't her. You haven't done anything, and yet you're just giving up without a fight.
I think that most captures Haseo's mindset from her birth, and his journey thus far, putting what he's learned into practice. After all, look at what's happened. Everything he's done. What he's accomplished since he started joining hands and efforts with others. He's begun to change the world with his actions in small but cascading ways. He's grown strong again, and shows no sign of stopping. But he won't continue to move without others, and he'll drag them with him if he has to. And that's what he'll do with Endrance.
I need your help.
Haseo.
The rest is up to you. I'll be waiting at the arena.
And thus leaves it for him to decide, and think of what Mia would have done. Pai contacts us over an Ida extermination, sending, in her own way, her condolences about Alkaid. It's here she informs us what we already suspect, that Ida PCs can cause PK victims to fall comatose. Though, considering Triedge was cited as doing so and was thought to be Ida, it's a bit of redundancy, merely confirming the supposition. The new bit is, yes, all of Sirius's opponents are now hospitalized, and despite the epitaphs giving resistance, Pai's short-lived infection shows that though they can resist it, there's no guarantee they won't end up down for the count. But what this all means is, Adelaide can't be involved. To do so would be to risk her life. Alkaid was in great health, and she almost didn't survive. And Pai has asked to be involved, to take her place. It's really good for their relationship too. She made a good case that informed him truthfully of what could have gone wrong and offered herself as a substitute. 'Cause, let's face it, had she held that back and Natalie fought, well, another loss like that, especially after Alcade, and there would be no stopping Scathe from rending the system apart code by code. As expected, we were informed the final round is with Bordeaux, but problems come up as they enter. Entrance doesn't show, but Natalie does.
Young lady, I'm afraid...
Now is not the time for the terms you use to be condescending, Pi. I think this explanation would have been better had it been coming from Haseo, honestly, instead of him just standing there. Doing it to assure her that it's for her that she cannot join, that her safety is more important to him. But as it's Pi, and she approaches it from the logical argument standpoint, it makes it seem as if Natalie can't do anything herself. And Haseo's follow-up words seem hollow to her as a result. She eventually does understand, but that seed of doubt, it's grown. It's at this point we are finally shown Bordeaux's corrupted body in full, her limbs twitching erratically, and the Ida coloring spread over her PC, obsessing over destiny and her blatant superiority. Though it's 3-on-2, and Pi's underleveled, Behind's weapons clearly even the odds of the match with their reinforcements, the battle intercut with her gloating over how easy a target Alcade was.
You should have seen her face when I PK'd her. It was classic. I really wish I could have shown it to you, Haseo. It was a work of art.
As the battle continues and emotions run higher and higher, the Ida surges from Bordeaux, forming into hand-shaped spears which encircle Haseo. Everything looks done. Until...
What?
Only under light does a flower bloom with beauty. A flower tainted by darkness is fated to wither away.
The Temptress has returned to the world. However, this twist has been too much, and the Ida surges from her, manifesting a new body type, Entrance offering his power to support Scathe. Yes, we finally fight a completely new type of Ida, the Oswald. It has most of the normal Ida tricks, along with some spider-based ones. It's a better challenge for an Avatar battle than the Ana-type Ida we'd faced up until now. Bordeaux is cleansed of her infection, Sakaki mocking her for her failure from the stands.
So, a loser is a loser after all.
At least she was doing something. Seems to me, when your plans rely on someone unreliable, the person who employed them is inevitably to blame. However, there's some character cleanup to do with Entrance, as now, well, he's begun to fixate on Haseo. I guess he's just the personality type that needs to feel needed in order to have self-worth. I know those kinds of people.
My sword and my heart are yours. Even my very life I give to you. I pledge everything I have to you for as long as I live. Your passion melted my frozen soul and brought light to where there was darkness.
I should have been the one to fill your dark soul with light!
Your warmth filled me up and surrounded me. It wrapped me up gently and showed me the way.
Master N!
Saku!
Are you gonna be Haseo's friend?
Friend? Haseo is much more than that to me.
And I will always love you, yeah. No, seriously, this is another ship I see rather often. It's not my cup of tea. Of course, Saku is not happy about this, as out of nowhere, Haseo just took what she's been trying so hard to obtain. But if it will keep her around Entrance, she's more than willing to put up with Haseo, finally adding Sakubo to our member address collection, and subverting the 2 class slots that had previously been the domains of Syllabus and Gaspard. And with that, we've gathered 6 of the 8 epitaphs. On the boards is another triage thread, and, of course, when heading to the listed area, we find Pyros, who has been absent from the storyline up until now. Though you could still call him freely for questing and having a third man around, as you might have seen a bit in the backgrounds of other footage I've had. And this bit is pretty much his rebirth introduction scene repeated verbatim. Poor Pyros. I really do feel they could have done something more with him in the trilogy. And remember, this is me. This is a guy who in the core games hated Pyros saying that. As it is, that entire cutscene came off as a bit of a waste. Some of the other quests, such as with Coon, who has a character arc this game we never really get to see, could have used the disk space instead. Anyways, Adelie and Bo have invited Haseo on a quest to obtain the Eternal Mushroom for the quest shop, though considering the past track record, he's expecting something to go screwy. Admittedly, not her fault, but yeah, this is another one of those times. Specifically, Negimaru is up to his old tricks in the wake of Team Only One Target's newest loss, and has tried to rally a group of PKers together for a bit of communal fun in founding a new guild. Dude, you really should have checked the quest shop areas for when you do these so you don't double up on bookings. Or, that could have been the idea, prey on people coming for the side quest. Take it or leave it. Negimaru's entire platform is trying to make a guild for the PKs by the PKs. While yes, Kestrel is a guild with a lot of player killers, it's more about the challenge and showing one's strength. And it's rare for a PK to have that validated with how they prey on the weak. Of course, anyone that knows the first thing about social Darwinism is that both systems are doomed to fail without an impeccably charismatic or dominating overseer, like Kestrel has with Gabi, as without a stabilizing factor, nothing can come from such anarchy but self-destruction. And Negimaru does not fit that bill. Hell, we get a bit more of an insight into his relationship with Bordeaux and Grain, both being people that completely beat him into the ground, and thus he fixated on as examples of strength he wanted to have, and the two allowed him to stick around, and how their team's fallen apart mainly due to Haseo, first losing their place in Kestrel, and now not even able to move on with them gone. So even trying to beat Haseo when he comes across him, it's all he has now to try and justify that they tried. He tries to end just one of them, but Bo switches out with Saku, and the assertive side just completely wrecks him verbally, stabbing at every insecurity he's left on open display.
Did you hear me? I'll say it again. Guys who are losers offline are also big losers online too.
Damn, woman! You really don't hold back. I'd expect kinder words from Oscar Langley Soryu. This is followed up on with a quest with Saku and Endrance, continuing the awkward love triangle that's just formed. And I just realized, when did this become a romantic comedy? I mean, yeah, I was making the jokes concerning Alcade and Adelie earlier, but damn, we were in the dumps about her loss, and then there's this. Granted, a few in-game hours have passed by this point, so it's not as severe a mood whiplash. Really, it's filler to give us a bit of time to recover before we hit the next bend in the emotional rollercoaster that is Reminisce. Speaking of, it's finally time for the title match with Sirius. Though, to pad the levels a bit, I deal with the next piece of the Abyss quest right around here, the Vital Vistas serving Sir Nunos after the Nucleus of Light to birth the Ancient Egg. And they actually succeed in getting it, meaning the next piece in the chain is not far off. As we go to register, Adelie stops us, still wanting to join in. If this Ida really has her avatar, she wants to see it through and be part of the efforts to get it back. Why, even though she knows she'll be in danger? Simply, so she won't feel absolutely worthless. That time to think really has made her believe all the current suffering and surges in Ida are her fault. And if she doesn't do anything, well, right now, she is where Haseo was in Rebirth. Powerless and hating herself for it.
Then tell me, what should I
How about I take over for you?
Hi, Coon! Glad to have you back. Yeah, it took forever for him to finally build the resolve, but this is his change. The elements of his nature that inevitably called the propagation to him has never let him finish anything he's done. In Art 2, it goes from Kestrel to Kennard to his duties in Raven, and even before that concerning Mai. But now, he's decided to see this journey through, and he starts that by stepping in to help save Adelie.
I need to keep fighting and fighting until the world becomes a safe online game again. I know now, that's all I can do.
It's kind of unfortunate that this change happens, well, off-screen. There is a reason for it, though. In the GU novels that were the original intended story of the game, Coon would be recruited by Ovan and told the truths of the incident, acting as his counterpart to Yada in dealing with concluding this mess from the behind the scenes. However, this more fits the character of Kasumi Tomonari. He's not a Machiavellian schemer. He's just a guy doing what he can to make the people he encounters' lives better, helping how he can. But excluding that path left him not a lot to do this entry. And he's decided Haseo is the best chance to end this all due to the camaraderie he's built with Syllabus and Gaspard, who the man deeply treasures as friends, and how he's changed over the course of events. So he takes Pai's place, and we have our power attack team to bring this issue to a close.
We'll make it so she can laugh in this world once again.
Sirius has completely lost it. The obsession he showed earlier having become more exaggerated with time. Meaning, Ida's infection has a degradative component to it. Who knows how someone who's affected long-term will be. The Azure Balmug and Orca with him are nothing but illusions. Sirius is there alone. They're tipped off to it and assault him alone, drawing the Ida out. And it's the one. He's found his target. The Ida Helen is a giant fish. Its long body allowing it to fire multiple large laser beams at once by bearing its side. It doesn't like getting up close, so obviously that's the best way to deal with it. And with its deletion, the phase is free, returning to Adelie, the slow corruption of her character vanishing, and the paralysis in her arm waning away. Oh yeah! Wait, we still have Sirius to deal with. As well as the Ida clones of Balmug and Orca, their counterparts coming and deleting them as well, showing that Azure Kite is still lurking in recovery. And everything Sirius has done comes rushing back. His own rebellious pride, as discussed in Rebirth, manifesting as a fear of failing. Why he shunned Alkaid as though they were friends, he didn't want to see himself become that shell. So instead, he became a monster, relishing in it even now. At least, until he learns what happened to Alkaid. And like Haseo last game, he realizes the true weight of what he's done. But there are still questions left unanswered. They've been shown now that the triad they've thought was the source has been hunting the infections, making them realize they've been chasing a red herring all along. One of gaming's most infamous red herrings, in fact. The time is coming. Adelie passes by with Sakaki, the pair thanking them for finally fixing this, before moving on, leading us back to the mail, where a dead man speaks.
How did Felo send me
I mentioned at the end of Roots that Felo would become relevant once again. And in this case, it's so his last will and testament can be placed in Haseo's hands. And that gift comes in two pieces. The first is the Elder's Keys, artifacts that spawn in fields and dungeons we are now able to detect, Felo's empty PC taking us through a tutorial in gathering them. You end up needing a lot of them, but there's an easy cheat around that gather-thon. Yeah, another one. You simply find and go to a level 100 field and get on the Steam Bike while it has that stealth ability. With at least a 10 level gap to the maxed out point, multiple keys will be harvested from each stand. Now, where do these keys go to? They're responsible for unlocking the lost weapons, 7 artifact constructs representing the missing data of the 8 phases of the Cursed Wave. Yeah, the Revive Aura plan didn't get everything when they salvaged them. That remaining data coalescing here, and affected by the connection to the phases to take the form of weapons the Epitaph PCs can wield. And the one responsible for bringing this to Haseo was Antares. Yeah, didn't you think it was a bit convenient that he just came out of nowhere? In reality, he knew Felo, and the man asked Antares to look over him while he was no longer able to, helping him develop, grow, to earn the right to Felo's last sacrament. To obtain the weapons, you don't just need the keys, but to pass a challenge of strength, defeating the boss monster representative of the key qualities of that phase. At least, they're supposed to. As they use the same monster model, there's a bit of a limitation to doing that. The lost weapons are the most powerful things any of the Infinity 8 can wield. Well, except for the Heinz gear. In Reminisce, Heinz Zero is still a bit better than the Tickling Death, but it won't stay that way. However, what's more important is the closure it gives them. The missing pieces of themselves. Rio's reintegration of Sora is still ongoing, thus the feeling he obtains from it is as if this is Felo's blessing. But he's not the only one duly affected. From Silent Jade, Coon feels he has the power to truly affect things.
Let's bring back a world where everyone can laugh again.
The Infinite Spiral reminds Saku that she's never really alone. From Stained Wing, Pai understands the truth of what June really left her to protect. And from Tempting Rose, does Kaoru realize that the Mia he loved came back to him long, long ago.
I'll never lose my way again. She is with me.
It's obviously the closure Kaoru needed to finally allow himself to move on, to finally get out of the rut he intentionally stuck himself in. 'Cause now, he's no longer denying that she's there, that she's been with him for so long. They could have ignored it. They could have let his sudden fixation on Haseo completely usurp that former devotion. They could have completely forgotten this. But they didn't. Because they loved this universe just as much as the fans, and wanted to do right by it. To do right by Kaoru, and right by Mia, even with everything they put them through. This is why I love this game, this series. And I truly, truly wish this level of attention, flawed or no, was given to all of the entries of it. And as you complete the ones available to you, Felo speaks, wishing Haseo a long, happy life as his PC disappears. There's been speculation for a long time how this came about, how this message could be delivered from beyond the grave, without the character being controlled for this final wish. And after everything we've seen with this series, wouldn't it fit perfectly had Felo passed on while he was within the world? As consciousness left his body, his final feelings being captured by the system, and through the will of the world, waiting until the time was right to deliver them. The earlier Alder's Key tutorial was plainly Antares remote operating Felo's PC. There's no denying that. But this was different.
Thanks, Felo.
However, that doesn't happen until much later. There are only 7 lost weapons here, the one for Corbinic gone. One is still locked, as we don't know its bearer. And the last is Adeli's. And where is Adeli then? 'Cause she isn't at the crowning ceremony. Hell, no Moontree member is. The reason is... she's having everything she is threatened to be destroyed. And now you know why I riffed on my singing voice when I did the top 10 Kamen Rider insert themes.